This episode is proudly supported by Pepe Sayer Australian Cultured Butter.
The Pepe Sayer all-new Australian butter sheets, everything we've learned over the last 12 years, we've put into making this new butter sheet. Combined with a brand spanking new shiny machine from Switzerland, we're able now to produce this beautiful butter sheet that's so easy to laminate with. So it's pliable, it's very fresh. If you're an Australian baker buying our butter sheets, they're made weekly. The formulation, it's a beautiful unsalted butter that will work for savoury and sweet. I think it's a perfect balance there. The bakers and pastry chefs that are using it are just raving about it.
For more information, go to pepesayer.com.au.
It's one of the things that's missing in agriculture. I think there's too many people that work their entire lives to produce beautiful produce and they don't have any feedback loop. The cattle or the sheep or the crop or whatever, it disappears on a truck, and that's kind of the end of the journey for them, which I feel is sad.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Regenerative farming is becoming more prevalent in Australia as small operators aim to look after the land, the ecosystem, and give animals their best life, all while working together. What happens when you change the scale of things from farmer, going direct to market with your own butcher too? Luke Winder is the owner of Tathra Place and Tathra Place Belconnen at the new Capital Food Markets. Luke, how are you?
I'm awesome, mate. How are you?
I'm good. Very excited. You're opening in my neck of the woods with a butcher, which is a little bit different for a farmer. How are things going at the moment?
Incredible, mate. We you got your fingerprints all over this one, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But no, amazing, mate. We have already owned and run a shop in Goulburn, which is more set up. It is a retail shop, but it's more set up as a wholesale facility. So this is our first out-and-out retail frontage store. And it's been, like everything, it's been a bit of a journey, but I can see the light now, and I'm just super keen to get this thing open and offer all this incredible produce to the wonderful people of Canberra and Belconnen.
Well, it's pretty exciting. Your produce is normally found in some of the best restaurants in Australia, and for consumers to get access like this is very exciting, which we'll get into. But I want to start at the beginning and tell us a little bit about your farm and what's happening with the animals and what you're doing there. And then we'll look at the butcher. Yeah,
amazing, mate. So regenerative agriculture, as you and I'm sure your listeners know, it has many hats. So my version is I like to refer to what I'm doing as biomimicry, and I've got a real emphasis on omnivorous animals. I do run cattle and I do run sheep, but I think where regenerative agriculture probably falls down is with your omnivores, with your chicken, with your pork, with your duck. And we've been able to come up with and put together a program that allows those animals to work in with nature the same way that you do with ruminants, with your cattle and your sheep, with your cell grazing systems and stuff like that. We think we've come up with our own methodology that allows these omnivorous animals to link in with the whole regenerative movement, and we refer to that as biomimicry. So that's simply put, that is us viewing animals and ecology in nature and then following that as closely as we physically can within a commercial template.
Yeah, right. Well, tell us about what life on the farm is like for the different animals and how you're getting them to work together.
Yeah, definitely. So the property that we own, 2 properties now, but the property where most of this is based was essentially just a weedy mess. It's the reason I got it so cheap around a decade ago. So looked at the most acute issue at the time was how do we get rid of all these weeds, the blackberry, the serrated tussock, the bracken fern was our major issues. And that's where we started to look at nature and how natural prairie land is built. And the beginning stages of that, it can incorporate animals like pigs. Pigs are wonderful as far as clearing weeds and rooting up weeds and offering you a blank canvas to then do your own pasture improvement programs and build fertility on that. So that's kind of where the getting into the omnivore started. But to give you a bit of a 40,000 foot view of our place, the main 100 acres is just broken into 42 cells. So if you can think that they're within 1 and 2 acre cells, and I very much fell out of love with moving temporary fencing very early on in my journey. I've got terrible shoulders, so that's all permanently fenced, and that was a pretty huge investment at the time. But the acute management and the ease of animal movement and the no stress management programs that we can build around having so many cells piggybacked on a really extravagant lane system, that's the heart and soul of the place. And all the cells can be used for all different animals. So there's plenty of shelter and silvo pasture and trees and eucalypts for pigs and ducks and cattle to get in the shade when it's hot. Most of those cells now have dams built in them. So we've got a rule out there now, every duck needs a dam. So all of our ducks, they free range in 1 to 2 acre cells. They've got a dam. They've got their drinker, the dunk tank drinker system, which is the beautiful Wombian Caves aquifer water. And they've got their feed, and then of course they've got the beautiful Maremma dogs that guard them. So that's the basis of the operation, being able to move the animals very, very aggressively, not make them sleep where they go to the toilet. Means we don't need to use the pharmaceutical inputs, the drenching and the worming agents, and that's the heart and soul. That's the crux of the production operation. It's a ballet, mate. To be honest, people are always shocked. You can come out 2 days apart, and everything is somewhere else. The movement is very aggressive and very purposeful, and allows us to create disturbance where we need it, but then allow the ecology the time to rest and recover, which is probably the key to the whole setup.
What animals and breeds do you have on there, and has there been challenges at all with any of them?
The main challenge with definitely the ducks. I mean, we're running up to 6,500 ducks all outside, all in these cells. So we've got a lot of predator pressure there with the ducks. But the chicken is a commercial broiler. I did flirt with the breast chickens and some heritage breeds earlier on, but realised pretty quickly the Australian consumer probably hasn't got the appetite for paying $40 or $50 for a chicken. So moved back into the space where we can turn out a really beautiful, unimmunised, chemical-free broiler chicken, which is just a commercial bird for people that don't know. And it's a lovely, lovely product, and that's mainly for retail. I've got a couple of wholesale customers that are on that. But the pigs that we do, mate, are a Hampshire cross Duroc, and they're amazing. They're both heritage breeds. The Hampshire for the maternal instincts, they make amazing mothers, and the Duroc for the growth rate, and trying to punch out as many brown pigs as I can nowadays because they process really, really lovely. We don't have the complications with the black hairs that we do with the Hampshires. My beef is predominantly speckled park. We do a Dorper cross sheep, first cross. And yeah, like I said, mate, we raise it all 99.9% of the time, I say to people, without any pharmaceuticals, any drenching, any B12 shots, any immunisations. The land itself is completely 22-year spray-free history now. No petroleum fertilisers, no glyphosate, none of the nasties. So that's a lot of work, but we definitely feel that it's the way that we should be eating. It's definitely the food that we should be consuming.
Tell us about you felt like you needed a change, but how did you go down the route of farming and regenerative farming?
Yeah, so I guess the back of that story, when I was caring for my father, he was a bit of a Luddite, my old man. He didn't have a TV or anything, so there was a lot of time where he was asleep and I was probing and through YouTube. I have a sister that is very high up for Google, so I had YouTube Premium, and it sort of, the algorithm took me gratuitously one day onto a gentleman called Joel Salatin, and anyone that doesn't know Joel Salatin, and another gentleman called Will Harris, who's probably become my main inspiration nowadays, an incredible man. And I couldn't unsee it. I don't think you can have the knowledge of regenerative agriculture and also the knowledge of conventional farming and the way our food is produced. And I'd like to think if you do go down that rabbit hole, you can't come back out of it. I wouldn't expect everyone to sort of decide that they're going to be a farmer and do what I've done, but it changes your thinking, and it sparked something in me. And then when my poor old dad did finally pass away, I gave myself some time to sort of recover from that, and I pitched this ridiculous idea to my wife, and she's just a sadist, I suggest, and she was willing to back me in this ridiculous venture, and it's bottlenecked from there. And let me assure you, I'm very careful nowadays to make sure that my story, the part of my story, is it's not all rainbows and butterflies. People think I prance around paddocks, surrounded by piglets and ducklings all day. It is. Primary production is the highest of euphoric highs, but the lowest of soul-crushing lows, and it's been a very, very difficult journey. And with the advent of COVID and a few of the things, economical struggles that we've seen in the last few years, unfortunately, I've seen a lot of wonderful people have to bail out of regenerative agriculture because it is still an industry that's very difficult to get that little bit extra margin that you need to justify the extra work. And anyone that's in regen ag or holistic management, I don't care what you use, they're pretty incredible people. They really do deserve your patronage and your support, because I can assure you, I can promise you they're working disgustingly hard. And I've had the privilege of meeting these people all around the world now, and there's definitely that common thread.
This change that you've put in your life and this amazing farm that you have now, has it changed you as a person, this whole sort of journey?
100%, mate. It's my overwhelming passion. It's my entire reason for being on this earth now, and I'm doing my utmost best to corrupt my own children into this sort of philosophy without the pressure, of course, that my boys can go and do whatever it is that they are passionate about. But yeah, mate, it's my entire existence, essentially. I really am unbelievably passionate about this. I do believe it's the way forward in agriculture. There's a giant hole, I feel, in regen ag, especially in and around the omnivorous part of it. I mean, people don't realise, but we process over 10 million chickens a year in this country. And I think because we do have the best farmers in the world, and I do believe that, we really are across regenerative ag for beef and for lamb. We're doing an amazing job, and there's some incredible cropping operations. But I feel where we're letting ourselves down is definitely in the production of hogs, and the amount of pork that we do import is a little bit unfortunate, and the way those pigs are treated probably isn't to the standard that we would maybe hope and expect as an Australian consumer. Chicken's another big one, and of course duck. So I want to be the example of an absolute muppet that knew nothing. He was an electrician in the Southern Shire of Sydney. If I can make a go of this and I can make it profitable, I think, there's absolutely no reason why the incredible generational farmers that we have that are just hands down the best farmers in the world, there's no reason why they can't take on some of this methodology, and we can't make this nutrient dense, environmentally, I guess, responsible food available more widely would be an incredible result, I feel.
Well, the fruits of your incredible labour have resulted in your produce ending up in the likes of Key and Encore, Benelong, Woodcut, amazing restaurants. What's it been like for you seeing, the work that you put in and then seeing that on the plate in sort of the best restaurants in the country?
It's amazing, mate. All the names that you tossed up there's many, many more. I would be remiss to leave out the Fabrica group, Regazzi and Scotty and the guys in there. You said Peter Gilmore, Matt Moran, huge. Aria, huge supporter of mine. And the list goes on and on. It's amazing, mate. It's to get invited into those guys and have, these industry renowned chefs shake your hand and thank you for what you're doing. It really is incredible. I actually think it's one of the things that's missing in agriculture. I think there's too many people that work their entire lives to produce beautiful produce, and they don't have any feedback loop. The cattle or the sheep or the crop or whatever, it disappears on a truck, and that's kind of the end of the journey for them, which I feel is sad. So I feel very privileged that I get either the consumer come back to the shop and thank me and sit and say that they cooked this and they did it this way and it was amazing. And then, as you said, mate, those sort of chefs, to get recognition off people like that and to stay on menus is probably one of the biggest thrills. Our product, probably one of the biggest things that we've been able to achieve is consistency. We are a small scale. We're not an enormous business, but we can supply you a pretty consistent product week in, week out. every 52 weeks a year, and that's what you've got to sort of do to stay on menus. So that's probably a higher accomplishment. That's something I really pride myself on.
Are there any sort of dishes from some of these chefs that you remember that you can tell us about where, you know, you've experienced your produce on the plate in their restaurants?
Oh, well, I'm very privileged, mate. All of them. I had the honour of spending anyone that's eaten at Key. It's not just going to dinner. I mean, it's an experience in there, and I spent 4 hours in there, and what they are doing with the duck. Well, they've changed it up a little bit now, but what they were doing with the duck was just absolutely insane. Same with Encore, quite theatrical there. You know, the dishes, you know, it's either smoking or on fire or spinning or, you know, that's an idiot's version, but just an incredible experience. And to all the way down to, you know, the boys at Fabrica and what they do with the pork in the pastas, and it's incredible. Look, I'll be honest, mate, I struggle to cook toast. I'm definitely no chef. That's a real honour for me. Anything they do with my duck always is incredible to me. They're all unbelievably talented chefs, and I've very privileged that I often get invited to come and dine in these restaurants and see what they're doing with the duck or the pork or whatever they've got, and it always blows me away, as I'm sure it does to you.
At the top of the show, when we're talking about Tathra Place Belconnen, the butcher, which we're about to get to, you mentioned Integrity Meats in Goulburn. Tell us a little bit about that, and was that sort of a glimpse into the possibilities of opening a butcher for you?
It was, mate. Like a lot of my journey, fell into it. The butcher I was using was getting to the point where I was kind of outgrowing him, and I couldn't find someone to sort of do what I needed. So I walked into this little shop in Goulburn. It was run by a gentleman that was about 75 years old. He'd been trying to retire for about a decade. And I straight looked him in the eyes and said, "Can I buy this? Can I buy this business?" His jaw nearly hit the ground. He took me out the back. He got me a beer straight out the fridge, and we got straight to business as far as working out a deal. And he's now also an incredible landlord. But it's only a small shop in Goulburn, but we've set it up more of as a wholesaling facility. I've been privileged enough to get a lot of small organic stores and grocers and stuff in and around Sydney that, you know, that have their little meat fridge and they want to have a higher standard of produce. So we're pumping out a lot of pre-packaged stuff that's already packaged and labelled out of the shop in Goulburn there. We've got a little retail front there, and the incredible people in Goulburn have been very supportive of that business as well. But we've got big plans there. I've got an incredible manager in there, Ash, and the boys that work in there are amazing. But we've got pretty big plans. They'll actually be doing majority of the breaking down of the animals. As you can imagine, mate, we don't buy a lot of carton meat, so there's a lot of bodies coming. There's a lot of heavy work. That'll all still happen in Goulburn just because it's set up, and the guys in there are so good at it. And then the shop down in Canberra in Belconnen will essentially be slicing it beautiful, fresh for people, and just serving it over the counter.
Tell us about the butcher at Belconnen, Tathra Place. It's in the new capital food market. There's such a mature market culture in Canberra, but what's it been like for you sort of creating what is needed in a butcher? Have you viewed your products and your offering differently?
Definitely. Look, the centre itself has been amazing. They were, through you and some of your consultancy, they knew what they wanted. They were looking for a vertically integrated farmer who wanted to take on the butcher. I'd obviously had a little bit of experience in there in Canberra, but they really have rolled the dice with me, I guess, and they've been incredibly supportive. What we're going to offer here, I think, is going to be very, very unique. I mean, the mantra of this shop, and you're going to see it when you come in, hopefully, it's all about know your farmer. I think it's a bit of a tragedy this day and age that everyone knows their doctor. A lot of people even know their barrister and their lawyer by name. You ask anyone in the street who's growing their food. It's probably one of the most, next to breathing air and drinking water, it's the most important thing you'll do today. You've got no idea who's growing your food or what they're doing with it. So come in and look me in the eyes. That's a big part of what we want to put forward. We obviously back everything that goes in the window here is going to be from our property. And I'll speak all day about the quality and the benefits of grass-fed and finished chemical-free produce, but get the opportunity to look me in the eyes, ask me questions. I mean, how many butchers can you go to and they can tell you what paddock the pig was in, you know, who its mother was, what the genetics are, what the cycling of the paddocks were. It's a connection that I'm hoping to really make with the people of Canberra. And the other thing about what we want to do is we've brought this back in Goulburn, definitely back to sort of the 1980s thinking. You walk into the butcher shop, and if it's not in the window, you ask for it. We'll cut it for you. We'll cut it up for you. Whatever you need, we've got the bodies. So we're not just buying in carton meat. We can do whatever you want with it. Communicate with us, and we really want to build that relationship with the consumer here. And I'm incredibly excited. I think Canberra's a great market for us. A lot of forward-thinking people that understand the benefits of raising animals this way, both for the produce and for the ecology. And I'm really looking forward to meeting these people and showing them the wide range. We're going to have people are going to impress at the range of stuff that we're going to have in here. We do all our own smoking. We collaborate with companies like De Palma Salumi for all of our charcuterie, and anyone that knows the guys in there, they're amazing. They do a natural cure, so they don't add any nitrates or chemicals to the product on their end. We're going to work in closely with Two Providores and Sally to offer incredible, rubs and salts and all the great things that you can use with our beautiful meat. But I'll implore people to come and have a look and have a conversation and give us a go. I mean, the other thing that I want to stress too is one of the main focuses of our business is offering people nutrient-dense regenerative food, but it's not triple the price of what you're used to paying. I think people are going to be really shocked when they see our pricing. Our pricing is incredibly fair considering the extra work that goes into producing animals the way that we do. And I'm always excited by people come to Canberra and they raise their eyebrows and, wow, this is super competitive. We kind of can't believe we're getting this product for this price. So I look forward to people giving that initial opportunity, and we can hopefully form a long-term relation and get them coming back.
A lot of butchers have additional things, not just cut meat, the sausages and things like that. How have you integrated that into what you do?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've got a range of sausages. There's some amazing companies, plenty of amazing companies now that are willing to sell you stuff without all the junk in it. You can essentially put together whatever flavour profile you want. And if you don't want the preservatives and you don't want all the rubbish in it, they will do it for you. We're all about communication. I will have sausages for sale that will have preservative in it. I will have sausages for sale that have got just salt and pepper in it. I'll have sausages that have got offal through it. We're going to have a wide range of stuff here, and that's why the communication is so important. The other big push we want to do here, I hinted to it before, mate, but I was honoured enough to do a bit of a tour around America and meet, the people that I would consider the best regenerative farmers in the world. And one of the things that the American market is a lot more accustomed to is buying frozen. I'm going to have a huge triple door freezer here, and I'm going to try and encourage people, if you're not going to eat it tonight, buy it frozen, because that's an enormous benefit for the producer. For me to be able to lock in that freshness and get that shelf life, and that's something that the American consumer doesn't seem to flinch at. But here in Australia, there is this mantra that fresh is best, and we're obviously going to have 90% of our produce here will be fresh. But, we're also going to try and start that communication with our customer about, if I process a chicken on a Monday and it comes out of the spin chiller and goes straight into a freezer, it's going to be fresher than that chicken that you're buying that's been sitting in the window for 2 days. So that's just a communication piece, and it's a conversation I'm looking forward to having with my new customers here.
I think most people, when they go shopping, they end up freezing the produce that they buy fresh anyway. So it's like just converting the way they think about the way they use their produce.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I hope that we can get that message across, because especially in the world of poultry, we're already dealing with really short shelf lives, and I'm processing every week. My stuff will always be fresh, but to be able to forecast further in the future, knowing that we can freeze product down, that's incredibly empowering for a producer that is trying to retail their own stuff. That's an incredibly powerful tool.
As a platform for your own voice and the messaging with this amazing produce, how important is it being in a market where there's other operators offering different things, but it's not as normal these days? The supermarkets have really taken over. But for what you do, how important is that market setting?
So good. So good. I couldn't be happier with both the way I've been treated by management here and ownership, and also the other businesses. You're not going to come here and see your Woolworths, your Coles, and your Aldi. As an absolute baseline, at least you're supporting local businesses and local business owners, and then to jump from that platform, you've got the opportunity to deal with people like myself that we're actually producing this stuff. We do monthly tours at Tathra Place Free Range. It's only an hour and a half from Canberra. I'm going to be pushing for as many of my customers as I can to come out and see the farm. I can talk till I'm blue in the face, but until you see what we've converted this property into and how productive it is, we're processing between 8 and 9 tons of nutrient-dense protein a week off 100 acres, mate. I mean, I say that. I was in the United States talking to blokes like Will Harris, and I was telling him some of the numbers that we're throwing up. I mean, he almost flat out refused to believe me. It's hard in Australia with tall poppy syndrome to kind of, you don't want to sound like, but we're really achieving some incredible stuff with our regenerative systems, and it's unbelievably productive. That's 3,500 tons of food a year off 100 acres. I mean, we're feeding thousands and thousands and thousands of people a week. All that while, we were privileged enough to do a Soils for Life thesis. So, we're sequestering tons of carbon. We're carbon negative. We've increased more than an inch of topsoil. The water infiltration's gone through the roof. So in the process of healing the land, we're turning out that level and that amounts of protein. It's something I'm very proud of, and as I'm getting a little bit older, mate, I've just turned 40. I'm allowing myself to give myself a bit of permission to acknowledge that sometimes and reflect upon it.
A little bit earlier, you spoke of the challenges of turning a profit for this style of farming, and we've lost some of them along the way because there are challenges. This new model that you have, where you have the farm but you have your own outlet to consumers, how important is that for what you do?
Well, mate, I'm happy to admit, and anyone that's come for a tour of my farm and heard me speak, I'm very open about the fact that the production business itself, it really doesn't generate much profit. The only profit really is that the retail, the wholesale company that's selling into the restaurants and stuff like that, and the retail store in Canberra, in Goulburn, and hopefully the retail store in Canberra. That's where the money's to be made, and people that are taking it on a smaller scale. I always implore people. Been privileged enough to do a little bit of consulting, mate. Hard as it is to believe, sometimes I feel like I've only just come out of my apprenticeship myself. But I'm happy to offer advice, and I say to people, it's the image of staying really small and niche. I appreciate why that attracts people, that concept, but there needs to be scale, and it doesn't have to be enormous scale. But scalability is the key to success. Pick one or two of your favourite enterprises and where there's a definite market, and try and scale it. And for me, this won't be our last shop. We're planning to open another one. I've got an incredible business partner now that's empowering me to do what I do best, and he's taking care of all the work that I despise and am no good at, which is a very empowering thing. And we want to move forward with at least one more store, and we'll see what happens in the future, mate.
Well, you're on the cusp of opening Tathra Place Belconnen. When does it open, and how's it going to feel when you swing the doors open?
It's the 5th of April, mate. I'm actually sitting in the loading dock as we speak, my hands covered in paint, because I am a farmer, which means that's code word for I am incredibly tight. So any of the work I've been able to do myself, I'm about to do a heap of. People will see a lot of beautiful recycled hardwood when they come to the shop here. I'm doing all the hardwood work and stuff like that. So the 5th, so excited, mate. I'm have a very natural and healthy amount of apprehension and anxiety about this one. I generally am pretty confident. You've known me for a long time, but I've really got them on the line here. I mean, anyone that knows putting these retail shops together, especially at the standard that we have, and I hope people appreciate aesthetically how beautiful a job our designer's done here. The shop is really lovely. This has been an enormous investment for us, and yeah, I've got to admit, when you've got that amount of money on the line and your reputation, everything on the line, I'm a little bit nervous, but also look, I'm also very confident in my product. Like you named before, you rattled off. I have the support of some incredible chefs, industry leaders, and the opportunity to now offer that product directly to the consumer here in Canberra is very exciting. And I know that they will appreciate and love the quality when the food enters their mouth, but hopefully they get the opportunity to have a conversation with me and learn the more important aspects of the production and why our product is so unique.
Well, mate, it's very exciting times, and I can't wait to see it all open up and see the response from Canberrans as well. It's, as always, absolute honour to catch up with you, mate. Keep in touch, and we'll catch up again soon. Definitely,
mate, and thank you. You understand why I need to thank you, so thank you very much, and appreciate everything you've done for me. And I look forward to seeing everyone in here, and I get to shake everyone's hand and look you in the eyes. What an amazing experience.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into the lives of the incredible people who ply their trade in the food and hospitality sector. Special thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Follow us on Instagram at Deep in the Weeds Podcast, or email us at podcast@deepintheweeds.com.au. Stay safe and be well.